Marin Palmer, Head of Corporate Pensions at Friends Life, outlines for News Insurances the challenges that the pensions market face today. Auto-enrollment, which will greatly increase the numbers in pension contributions, definitely requires particular attention from the providers.
We see kind of auto-enrollment as probably the biggest change to kind of across the defined contribution pension market since inception, really. So absolutely massive change for the marketplace. It's going to have a huge impact on the employers, and I think we have some concerns that some employers aren't quite aware of some of the implications that are going to be coming their way. Clearly, from their perspective, they are going to need to enrol a lot of the employees that aren't currently paying into a pension scheme. So there's going to be a lot of work from that perspective for them to actually work out which of those employees they need to enrol into their pensions arrangement, and that's clearly quite a lot of ongoing activity that needs to be carried out there. From an employer's perspective, they do need to be very aware of what the impact of those increased number of members is going to be in terms of their outgoings from a benefit point of view. So clearly, if you've got an employer that's only got a take-up rate for their pension scheme of 20% and that suddenly jumps up to 70 or 80%, that's going to mean a significant increase in pension contributions that employer is going to be paying out. So very important that employer recognises those costs as soon as possible and builds that into their plans. What we're worried about is clearly we don't want employers levelling down. So what we don't want is employers saying, okay, well, we're going to keep the benefit spend that we're paying out the same, and effectively we're going to pay that out over a larger number of employees, because that will effectively mean that there are a lot of employees that will see reduced contributions coming through, and that's not really the main intention of the new legislation. That is going to be the way things are going to go. I mean, certainly Nest, who are the body that have been appointed for occupational schemes where an employer doesn't choose to use a pensions provider and they choose to use the default scheme. In that situation, they've actually spent quite a lot of time looking at kind of terminology, looking at the wording that's used to try and find a way of communicating with people in a better way. And I think that's going to clearly be something that the provider population are going to build on. I think what we are going to need to look at as an industry is kind of also looking at the different ways that you can actually communicate with people. So I think there's one thing, the actual language you use. The other is actually the method, the media you use to communicate with people. So clearly, as we've now got a population that is now much more kind of familiar with dealing with the internet, also looking at social media, etc. I think as an industry we need to start thinking about kind of how can we actually communicate with people in using those different media. And clearly if you're doing that, kind of text messaging or kind of Facebook or Twitter, for example, they have very, very strict levels or limits on the amount of characters you can use. And I think as an industry, we've been trying to communicate 3 or 4 pages worth of information to people which they're clearly not interested in. So we need to find a way of simplifying that, reducing the amount of information we send out, but actually make it better quality and make it more relevant and pertinent to the individual's needs and requirements.